In a second, you should receive an information. Yeah, here we go. So we are live now.
Okay.
Yeah, hey Frank,
Hi,
welcome.
David.
It's the first time that we meet on this live stream. Thanks for joining this stream. It's great to have you here, especially for this topic, as we speak tonight about the French election. And you're not from France, but you are Belgian,
Which is a big
and
difference.
it's a big difference. But I mean, you speak French,
Yeah.
and so and you are neighbors. I mean, I'm German, and so we are neighbors with France. But as you speak the language, you're probably a little bit closer to what's going on in France than I am. So it's great to have you here. Maybe you can give your a quick introduction for the millions of people who are watching now.
Yeah. Hi, David. Thank you for having me, by the way. And yeah, it's great to see you. A little bit of background. So my name is Frank Houtave. I'm Belgian. Actually, I'm Flemish. I'm from the Flanders,
Hmm.
but I'm bilingual. So I was born the 25th of November, 1981.
Hmm. Same
Um,
year like me.
yeah, a good year. And actually, so my father is Belgian, is Flemish, and my mom is originally from Congo. So they met in Brussels in the end of the 70s. And my mom is actually a French speaker.
Hmm.
And I don't know how it happened in other households, but at my home, it would have been my mom that was dominating the television, and
Hmm.
the television would always have been in French. So I heard a lot of French on the French speaking Belgian
Hmm.
television, but also a lot on the French
Hmm.
television, like TF1, France 2.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was still Antenne 2, FR3. And my mom, she's like very into culture, politics, and that kind of thing. So from a very young age, I kind of always was not always willingly,
Hmm.
but confronted actually with news and that kind of things around French politics. And it
Hmm.
was always really strange because it's really different than the Belgian politics. In Belgium, we still have a king, and it's a kingdom, the kingdom of Belgium. While in France, it's a republic. So
Hmm.
then you already have like a huge difference, but also when it comes to the elections, it's quite different. Like in Belgium, you have like one election, and then all the parties they kind of have their percentages of the votes, and then they have to create a coalition with the
Hmm.
biggest party that then choose with who they make coalition to become the government, right? Uh,
Hmm.
in France, with presidential elections, it's kind of different. There, actually, you have all the candidates that are presenting themselves, and actually, then the two candidates with the most votes, they
Hmm.
then go to a final round where they.
That's correct. We come to this maybe later at some point how the France electoral or system works because it works quite differently than in Germany or
Yeah.
or the US, and so that's a good point. We should talk about that later. And one question: so, like, when you were a kid, did you grow up with French TV and French and French radio, or
Yeah,
was it like French speaking TV channels from Belgium or
both,
radio channels from both? Okay.
both. Yeah. Another thing that I also wanted to point out, to come back to the election systems, is in Belgium it's a voting obligation. So at
Hmm.
elections we have to go vote, and
Yeah.
in France it's le droit de vote. it's
Hmm.
the right to vote. So you're
Same as
you
in
don't
Germany, yeah.
yeah you don't have like if you don't want to go vote, you don't have to vote. And there you will also see that there is also a huge influence in where you will see that in first rounds the back in the day the Front National would have had a lot of scores at first tours
Yeah,
and the Rassemblement National. And then when the second round comes, that's suddenly a lot of people that don't vote in the first round. They come
yeah,
and come like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's worth to go vote. You know,
yeah,
so that's also a huge difference actually.
yeah. And I think probably it's a bit like an island, because in Ireland we also follow British politics. We really follow what's happening in Westminster as a small country with the same language. So I think the same applies probably to people from Austria, that they are more familiar with German politics than Germans being familiar with Austrian politics, or British people being familiar with Irish politics. So therefore, it's probably for you, as someone who comes from Belgium, from a smaller country than France, where they speak the same language as a neighboring country, that you have yeah more of a
Yeah.
insight than than the other way around.
Yes, because economically, Belgium has not that much of an influence on France, but France has a huge influence on Belgium when it
Hmm.
comes to economic points. So what's happening politically in France will always have also an influence on Belgium, where the political climate in Belgium has not that much of an influence uh, on France.
Hmm.
So that's why I think Belgians are, especially in the south, way more aware of French politics than the other way around, actually, because it's the direct influence on our
Hmm.
day-to-day life as well.
Yeah. And coming now to the recent elections in France,
Yeah.
how have you followed the results?
To be honest, I was not surprised because it is something that now is coming quite frequently. If you look at it, the Rassemblement National came actually from the Front National, which was created in 1978. Wait, I'll Google it quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but actually, since the 90s, they always grew and grew and grew. And they actually were always getting stronger and stronger out of the elections. Um, so just a second, I'll Google it quickly. Front
Hmm.
National. Uh, yes, 1972.
Hmm.
1972, Front National until 2018, and then they became le Rassemblement National. And it was first created by Jean-Marie Le Pen, which is the uncle of Marine Le Pen.
I think he's the father of Marine Le Pen, isn't he?
Um, I
I
believe
think he's
the
the
uncle.
father. But well, either way, they are
The
related.
family, yes.
Yeah, that's a family.
But look, that's also the nice thing of today. We definitely have Google, and we can quickly look those things up. Um, Marine Le Pen to Jean-Marie Le Pen. I don't see it immediately, but
Yeah.
wait, Jean-Marie
But
Le Pen.
what we know for sure, it's a family,
It's
and I
family,
mean,
yeah.
but were you actually surprised that in the end the Front National didn't win, because it was actually expected that there will be probably not a big win, but there will be a win of Front National, and in the end it turned out that they lost because
No.
of what was the other guy from the left party, so
Mélenchon.
they cannot
Yeah,
form a
Mélenchon.
government at the moment.
Exactly. He's a communist, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh, Mélenchon, and actually a very smart guy as well. But was I surprised? No, I'm actually like, the thing is, France is actually too diverse and too multicultural, I believe, to really get there to one day for the, in my opinion, and I can be wrong, but to really win the multicultural society of France is too big. You know, France had like over I think over 70 colonies, which are now also represented in their population. And like I said, even if the majority, like a lot of French people would not go vote in the first round, definitely in the second round, those people that are not going to vote in the first round, they will go vote in the second round to make sure le Front National, the Rassemblement National would not win. So in a certain way, due to the how their society is mixed and diverse, it makes it very difficult for a far right party to come on top.
But do you really think that this diverse society is unified in that? Because Jordan Bardella, for example,
Mhm.
he himself, as I mean, he's the besides Marine Le Pen, the most popular guy in the Front National. He's only 28,
Yeah.
and he is of Algerian heritage, and
Mhm.
he's actually selling his heritage. Well, he's using this as a weapon, as an argument that also people from different backgrounds support the Front National, and so even in this diverse society, there will be people who will vote for the Front National. So I think just
No,
because
which is
it's
very true.
multicultural doesn't mean they are unified in
No,
that matter.
which is very true because the funny thing is about le Rassemblement National, in opposite to let's say the anti-Islam party in the Netherlands, they're not, they're like a mix of people, you know. You have people there that are against Muslims, there are people that are against black people, there are people that are against the Jews, there are people that are against the left, you know, like
Mm.
the, so there as well the Rassemblement National is also very diverse in their ideology, and it's not that it's really to see that they pinpoint one group as the bad guys, but it depends on the stance. But the ideology is definitely a more how can I say, because rassemblement means a gathering, coming together, and where they talk about, okay, if you have any issues with let's say Jews, come with us. You have issues with the Muslims, come with us. You have issues with black people, come with us. You have issues with, I don't know, with political left, come with us. So they they have kind of topics that really speak to different kind of people, which very surprisingly, you will have black people in the Rassemblement National. You will have Muslims in the Rassemblement National. You will have Jews in the Rassemblement National, because each of them have their own ideology that is opposed to another group, and
Mm.
that okay, they
Yeah.
can bring it together. Yet, on the other hand, on the other side, the majority, I think, of French people from diverse culture, but also the autochthon people, um, they kind of also see a certain danger in, the liberty of expression. I give you an example. I think this week Marine Le Pen, so Mbappé said during the Euros, yeah, as France, we're multicultural, we have to come together and that kind of things. And Marine Le Pen clearly said like, oh, the French people don't want other
Mm.
millionaires giving their opinion about uh, politics and on who to vote. What Marine Le
Mm.
Pen is forgetting is that she's coming from an elite family and Mbappé is
Mm.
coming from a working class family. So even
Yeah.
before he was a millionaire, he was like from just
Mm.
the working class family.
Mm.
So that's a way actually of like cutting the liberty of expression, and that's something in France that is really 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 difficult to pass. The majority of French, whether they're like original French or diverse French, that's something on the points that's really really difficult. That's really
Mm.
made aware that look, Front National, Rassemblement
Mm.
National.
But do you think this has been a game changer that Mbappé?
No, no, no,
No,
no,
you don't think so?
no. It might have influenced here, especially the younger people. It might have influenced the younger people, uh, but definitely people know also are really aware that when it comes to liberty of expression, it's kind of one-sided. But then at the same time, you could say the same about the political left. When they talk about liberty of expression, it's also kind of one-sided. So there you have actually one bird having two wings, a right wing, a left wing, and those are wings of the same bird.
Yeah, but well, you said in the Front National there are people from diverse backgrounds. There are Jews, there are Muslims, there are, mixed ethnicity. But don't you think that the main topic at the moment is about the integration of Muslim refugees, because Marine Le Pen made or has made that very clear that she wants to have a France with a hijab ban. She wants to keep the schools and the universities secular. So so apart from you know difficulties between different ethnicities and races, don't you think that um, Muslim refugees and Muslim integration into the French society has been the main topic where in this election campaign?
Yeah, and there as well, I want to make a solid point. It's that in Belgium, you actually kind of see the same with, especially in the Flanders, with North Africans, and well, the majority of them are Muslims. So people in general would then make generalities and saying, look, it's again, it's Muslims, it's North Africans. But if you dig deeper, actually, because there is an issue, and you see in little criminality kind of things, but often it comes with education more than with religion. It comes with education. Lower education brings lower job opportunities. Lower job opportunities means lesser economic. strength,
Hmm.
which so and that brings more criminality. So there is a real correlation between a lack of poverty, a lack of education, poverty, criminality. Now, often the groups in general that are most affected by it, by those, are well, Muslims coming from Algeria, Morocco,
Hmm.
Tunisia, because often when those people come to France, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, they come with a lower level of education, so they don't qualify for better paying jobs, higher paying jobs. And because I looked it up, actually in France, 22% of the children there, that's 1/5 of the population, is growing up in poverty. That's and watch out, huh? I'm not saying
Hmm.
that because you're poor, you will be a
Yeah.
criminal. I'm just saying that there is a huge, like in general, rich people will not turn into criminality because they don't have to, right?
Hmm.
In a certain way, poor people don't need it as well. Uh, but apparently, it's a tendency that it makes it kind of easier to jump from when you're in a certain social, economical, social environment to do a jump to a little criminal things and that kind of things. Plus, educational system. If you're like, let's say you're not only the educational system, but the education at home. When your parents with one job they cannot provide for the family, they go for a second job. They're not educating their children because they're not home. So there is a lack of control, parental control. There is a lack of higher education, so no access to better paying jobs, career opportunities, and that sort of things. A lot of like anger towards society because you feel that it's unfair, that's social injustice. On the other hand, there is also the human aspect. Often, unwillingly, people in better situations are looking down on people in lesser situations. And those people in lesser situations also know that they're looking down to. So you can see how that creates social tensions. And now for the reality for France, often those people come from North African countries or like from Afghanistan, Pakistan, when we talk about Asian countries. And those are Muslims because of their socio-economical context. On the other hand, what you would see is that Africans coming from Christian countries, also with a lower education group, they will also be tending to fall into criminal activities. Yet that group is way, way smaller than the group of people that identify as
Hmm.
Muslims. So it's way more in your face that, oh, it's a Muslim again, it's an Algerian again.
Hmm.
You see what I mean?
Hmm. And would you say within the migrant communities in France or in Europe in general that there are differences that or things that are very specific to Muslims, very specific to, I don't know, Vietnamese, or very specific to Asian other Asian migrant groups? Because what I hear or what I see from my home country is that many people are very concerned that Muslim communities get too much influence in terms of how in terms of um, um, not going to swim lessons because of religion reasons of fasting during Ramadan. And do you think this could be a problem that these groups take too much influence on daily politics, that also in the UK some Muslim mayors have been, they have voted Muslim mayors, for example. I think it was in Brighton or so. Do you see Do you see this as kind of problematic or not at all?
Well, I do believe it's like let's not close our eyes and be blind for it.
Mm,
Definitely, there's a problem. It is problematic, and I think in a certain way there is kind of a sort of overcompensation. I think that in a lot of Western countries, we did realize on the moment that we kind of were unfair towards minorities in general,
mhm,
and that's we try to do good, and like the politicians and as a society by compensate and emphasize and you know also what's called like positive discriminating
mhm,
discrimination, positive discrimination. I don't get it actually. Discrimination can never be positive in my opinion, but some how can I say there are like compensations that were rewarded that actually were not deserved, that actually instead of solving issues were creating issues. Plus the reason and that you can see in, I've like I don't know Germany, but maybe you can confirm it, but like in Belgium, in France, there is a ghetto forming, right? uh, the ghetto forming, you would create a group of people from the same kind of economical background, which then often are also people from the same cultural background or same origins that then come together. That instead then of integrating with the locals and the culture of the home country where they are, of the country of where they're like
mhm,
installed where they are. So they create some sort of micro societies within those countries,
mhm,
and that to me is the biggest problem on which
mhm,
actually a lot of far right parties,
mhm,
not only in France but in a lot of Western countries are cashing on.
mm,
Like I'm, I can be wrong again, but I'm pretty convinced if we start to deconcentrate those groups and put them more like in situations where they kind of, because we're humans, we're like social animals. We want to connect with people, and it's always easier to connect with someone from the same background speaking the same language. But
mhm,
if you don't have that opportunity, you will do whatever you can to connect with people
mhm,
from other culture, other countries, and that kind of. And that's how you get real integration. But that's also how you get the locals to
mhm,
get to know migrants. But now, actually, you have the migrants there concentrated in their ghettos. You have the locals that are separated in often way, not all of them, because that's another issue that brought actually the rise of the formalization is that even locals now, you can see that their economical situation, their buying power is getting down. So they get it way more difficult to live at the same standard while they have to work way harder. Taxes are going up, and there is that sort of impression that when you're a migrant, you get everything handed for free, while as a
mhm.
local, you have to work for everything and they take a lot of things away in favor of those migrants, which is, of course, not true. Um,
But
uh,
why do you think people feel that way, that migrants get a lot of support from the government, whereas locals, nat or so-called natives, believe they do not get the same support?
narrative. Uh, Look, I think there is that one interesting take that I hear that and I think we spoke actually about it. Put a poor black guy and a poor white guy together, and you will have racism issues.
Hmm.
with a millionaire black guy and a millionaire white guy, they don't talk about racism. They talk about money.
Mm,
You see, so the thing is when you get that thing because at the same time the minorities they think exactly the same. They think like, oh, we are just left in our misery, and it's always the natives that get all the advantages and privileges and that kind of. So it's really interesting how
mhm.
both sides are pointing at each other
Yeah.
for to be treated unfairly
Hmm.
for exactly the same things, while actually, if you look deeper, they're both in the same situation.
Yeah.
Uh, I truly believe that there is not really an advantage more given to migrants or foreigners, especially not to Muslims. For instance, we saw it now with the Ukrainian war, where actually Ukrainian refugees were really well received, if you see in comparison with Syrian refugees. So um, it's always important to take a step back and to see like, okay, is what they say, is it true, or is it rationally
Hmm.
underbuilt, or does it come from an emotional standpoint? Because when you're struggling, when you're in poverty, when you uh, live month to month, paycheck to paycheck. You don't know, and in the last week of the month, you don't know how you're going to feed yourself or feed your kids. You're scared of eviction, whether you're a native or a migrant. You will always, instead of looking at, is there something I can do about it? Is there something I can change? It's always easier to point
Hmm.
to another group and saying, oh, it's because they have all the advantages. And the same way that natives are saying like, yeah, the
Hmm.
migrants get all the advantages. If you go within a migrant society, they will say it's all the natives that are getting all the advantages. Like, why are
Hmm.
they able to live in good conditions and we live in bad conditions? So
Hmm.
I do see where it comes from. I don't believe it's intellectually correct. Just a second,
Hmm.
please.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. It's getting dark, so I did put on the
Hmm.
lights.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So what you say is that actually migrant families and so-called natives, I don't have the right word in English. I just say natives. Maybe it's not politically correct, so don't put the blame on me, guys. Now, it's just the only word that comes into my mind to differentiate between migrants and people who are born into that country. So that's actually when they are more or less on the same level, and they tend to see the others as a threat because they are actually more or less on the same level, and they believe that these people do far less than than us, and this is
Yeah.
unfair, and then this otherings, this kind of othering comes into their mind, whereas they do not see people who are not, well, far above their own financial situations. They do not see them as a threat. They admire people who are very rich, but they usually do not think that these people could contribute more to society with their wealth
Mm.
than than these people who are at the same who are actually fighting the same struggle, fighting for paying the monthly bills and having food or having a bit of a luxury. And I understand that. However, when I speak to friends from Germany with with very different from the very different regions. I wouldn't say backgrounds. Probably most people I know are more or less the same class than I am. Some of them have. a migrant background, and some of them don't have. But I would say most of them are in the same class, like myself. And yet there are some who feel that there's too much of an intake of Muslim refugees, or let's the Muslim communities are growing. They say they do not see other migrants as a threat, but they mostly see Muslim integration as a problem because they come from very pa pa patriarch societies, and it seems as that that crimes are happening that have not happened before. I don't know if it's really true, but this is something that's most of the time comes up in the news. When something terrible happens and migrants are involved, then it's usually portrayed in the news, in the biggest newspapers or tabloids, and so um, do you think that there's something that the left parties are not addressing, whereas the right parties are addressing issues within minorities that can be harmful for a society?
Now we come to politics actually, so
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But if I may first, I want to come back to something that you said about, yeah, I don't know about the right terminologies and that kind of things, and I want to say that, you know, I think that what we're doing here actually is really interesting, and that's in that way that both of us we come with our backgrounds, with our kind of knowledge, limited knowledge, and I think that the good thing is that we're trying to understand and know and exchange ideas, and that it's okay to be wrong. It's
Hmm.
also okay if the people that are watching and commenting that they do correct this, that they do exchange ideas, because uh, in order to learn and to grow and to understand better, you you have to put yourself out there and also dare to make mistakes and say something wrong. I think that it's really important
Hmm.
as well to be aware of that what you're saying can be wrong, and that you're open to understand and and learn. So I don't think that's a huge issue, and I'm sure that people that know better and that are following, they will correct us
Hmm.
when necessary. Now, to come back to what your friends are saying about that they feel that often it's with a certain group that you have like issues, and that those are Muslims. Well, I want to say this: they are, from their point of view and their perspective, probably right. Um, but I want to make a huge but. First of all, which Muslims are we talking about? Are we talking about European Muslims, like Eastern Europeans? Are we talking about North Africans? Are we talking about Arabs? Are we talking about Asian Muslims? Are we talking? You see what I mean?
Hmm.
You see what I, because even within the Muslims we have a lot of diversity. Are we talking about really the poorest Muslims? Or are we talking about rich Muslims? Are we talking about men? Are we talking about women? So it's when you start
Hmm.
generalizing, you will directly make mistakes. Yet, what I do believe is that, as I said before, coming often from countries where the education system and the social system is way lower than the Western system, because actually, if you take the conversation to the issue that in France, le Rassemblement National has with Eastern Europeans, is that they actually come working in West European countries for one third or one fourth of the salary of the natives, of the locals, they don't have to pay social charges, and they can pay their taxes in their countries of origin, because in Europe you only have to pay your taxes in one country. And if they come with like the status of an independent, like an entrepreneur, the social charges are for themselves. So a lot of companies, instead of taking local laborers, they will take a lot of Eastern European laborers, because they're like way cheaper. They work
Hmm.
often very, very well. They're very good laborers, and they work a lot of hours. They almost don't complain. So, so now to go back to the topic of those Muslims that creating issues. Well, what is their background? Which Muslims are we talking about? Right? Are we talking about highly educated Muslims? I guess your friends are not talking about them. I think they're talking probably about um, not really educated people that don't speak the language, people that actually don't go to school, that don't really do something with their lives. So there again is difficult. And what is true, you will see in that group, for one reason or another, it's often Muslims from poor countries. But in another way, it also makes sense that when uh, you're escaping a country that's in development, you will not try to go to another country that tries to develop. You will go to a country that's already developed but arrived. Like when you don't have the education system, the education behind you, you don't have the language behind you, you don't understand the culture. In the West, tell me how you like. In your opinion, tell me how you can kind of succeed and get to a certain level.
Hmm.
It's very
It's
difficult, even
it's
if you're a
difficult, yeah.
native.
Mm.
Even if you're a native. So, and because again, when you see the locals that are often in poverty, they also turn to small criminality and that kind of things, like, so again, that correlationship would be more to
Hmm.
poverty, education, economical background than
Hmm.
to really the religion, because to come back to the point of take a millionaire Muslim, a millionaire Christian, a millionaire Jew. They're not talking about religion. They're talking about making money.
Yeah, I agree with most of things you say. However, there's one thing I would like to bring up. So I agree that the economic situation is a driver, or poverty is a driver um, to higher crime rates. To um, crime rates with within the family, and but also outside, or gang crimes, and all of these things, that poverties are always a driver for that. However, let's say there's a thing that I find is hardly addressed by the left. And I consider myself as progressive, and um, I call it, oh, I think it's called cultural relativism. So, which actually means that some groups, because they are considered as minority, um, are kind of sacred for leftist people. And even though within these minorities, within these groups, um, there are a lot of customs or traditions which are very questionable. And for example, I once met a guy. He was not he was not a lower class guy. He actually studied um, at a very, very um, famous university. So he paid the university fee, and he's actually from within his tribe. from a from a very very upper class. So like within this tribe, he's be seen as one of the highest in the hierarchy because of his status. And so within this, in oh, just give me 1 second. I come back and
No,
I just need to look after my son.
no problem.
Boy, Hank,
Yeah, I'm here.
look.
Oh, hey, hello.
Yeah, he's a bit crappy right now. Therefore, I had to take him. Hi,
Uh,
Flunk. Well, he can't hear you right now because I have my headphones on,
yeah.
but he can
Um,
see you now. Now he's calm. Now
he
he's
was
calm. He was
he was
just a
thinking
little bit
like,
crappy.
who's that guy? Hey.
That's Caspar. Caspar Noah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I can swear.
Yeah. I try to follow up on what
So
I just said. Yeah. And so like
yeah,
this guy, for example, he he's very well educated. He studied at the best universities, and yet he's coming from a family where where it is normal that they do arranged marriage, for example, and that his grandma, for example, is actually um, checking the virginity of his potential bride,
right. Yeah,
and this is so. What I want to say, it's of course that poverty is a driver, that low education is a driver, but there's also there are also people who are rich people who are very well educated, who follow um, who follow traditions which are very questionable. You know what I mean?
yeah. Look, we can. That's a really interesting discussion. So I want first go back to the point where we were talking about the political left. In very short, I can say that same as the right, they are kind of demagogic and populistic when it comes to getting the votes, right? I don't know how it is in Germany, but in France,
Same.
in Belgium, you have a lot of political dynasties. So you would see that it's the son of a politician that becomes a politician. It's a daughter of a politician that becomes a politician. It's a nephew,
Mhm.
the cousin. It's the, you know.
I
So
wouldn't say this doesn't apply to Germany, luckily, so that we do not have that kind of nepotism. I think in our in politics. I don't want to praise Germany too much, but I think we do not have this kind of nepotism.
well, it's truly like in the United States, you could definitely see it, but
Yeah,
like in Belgium, it's a reality. In France, it's also definitely a reality. So they're kind of professional politicians, and they kind of know how to play their audience. So my that's my answer to what's the political left does. Is it often like those people grew up in political families? They are totally disconnected of the
yeah,
population, right?
yeah.
That's why I said that the critique from Marine Le Pen actually is kind of hypocrite, as Mbappe
Mm,
and his parents coming from the working class, and she always was coming from a political
yeah,
class, and then saying because he's a millionaire, he should not
yeah. No, no, no.
speak his mind. Yeah, it makes no sense. Yet, what you're saying, to come back to what you're saying now about that guy, yes, of course, there is your environment, your cultural background that plays a lot, but um, and definitely for people as us growing up in the West, it's very questionable. Like, arranged marriages. Like, I have a daughter, I would never think about that. Yet,
Mm. I
my
think
grandmother,
worldwide it's still mainstream. I think arranged
yes,
marriages are still mainstream. If you, well, I don't have the exact numbers. I just making this assumption, but India is a huge country with more than, I think, almost a billion people, and most of the marriages are arranged marriages in India. So this is a big part, you know. So
but don't forget that even in the West, with Westerners, it still happens. Look at all the royal families.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and this
Look at
is
all the royal families.
you cannot be more upper class than the royal family, you know? So,
But on the other, like back in the day, like my grandmother, like on the Congolese side, my grandmother and my grandfather, they were getting together by arranged marriage. My grandmother, she was 14 when she got married to my grandfather, that was already 25 at the time.
mm.
So it's really not done. It's really that to nowadays.
Is it still acceptable or has this changed?
No, yeah, that definitely has changed.
Yeah.
Definitely, that would not be acceptable anymore. But like arranged marriages would still happen in Congo, definitely. But
Mm,
again, in the West, it also still happens when you look in certain particular cases like royal families. But if you look more in general, it would not be that huge anymore in the West. So those are questionable traditions, but I'll give you another example. We in Belgium, we eat horse meat. We eat horse
hmm
steak. That's really big. If you say that in France or in England, they would say like, "But you guys are crazy."
mm.
They don't eat like horse steak.
We used to eat horse meat too in Germany. I think some people still eat it, but it's very rare nowadays, you know?
So, so the thing is, and a lot of those things, I think especially with the global world that we're living, they're changing slowly but surely. Don't forget, like in Japan, they still have that festival where they kill the dolphins and the whales. In China, they have still that festival where they kill cats and dogs. And those
Mm,
festivals, they come because at the period there were famine, the population was dying, and the only thing they could eat were dogs and cats. The only thing they
mm.
could. So the traditions are
Well, I personally don't see
difficult.
anything wrong with that. You know? So, I mean, you know, well, this would be a different topic. Like, I think that's speciesism. So why do we love dogs and cats as pets, and why do we eat pork? You know,
Yeah.
so I think this is, you know, this is just a cultural thing why we are disgusted by certain things, and why people love these things that we find disgusting, you know.
But then I think to come to the point that you try to make is that kind of tradition mentality compatible with our Western society? I will tell you no. So there, indeed, I truly believe that in a certain way, we as a Western society, we did fail to integrate those lesser educated people, those people with different cultural backgrounds.
Mm,
It's like all over the place. And to really assimilate them to be well Westerners when you come to live here, to profit of our education system, of our social welfare system, of our housing, of our job opportunities and stuff. Well, then you should not bring your culture, like, or definitely not everything of your culture with you. You definitely should, like you're leaving a culture behind because you were not, you're in search of something better. You cannot go in search of
Mm.
something better by bringing with you
Oh,
things
so,
that,
for example, the
yeah,
hijab ban. Do you think
yeah,
this is hijab ban in France? So Marie Le Pen
yeah.
wanted to have a hijab ban in schools. Do you think this is oppressive, or do you think this is a good idea? So then the question would be like, is the headscarf a symbol of oppression, or is it a symbol of freedom? And so
Look,
in the Western world, it's been seen as a symbol of oppression, and but you know, but well, not all see it that way, but some see that as their individual freedom.
and I think that's why it's a very difficult debate. Like, again, I grew up in Belgium. I truly believe it is a symbol of oppression.
Hmm.
But if those that are wearing it themselves say no, for us, that's how we express our liberty, who am I to judge that? Like,
Hmm.
first of all, I identify nowadays as an atheist. I grew up as a Catholic, but
Yeah.
baptized in the Catholic Church. My mom is really into faith and religion and Christian, and those are the values I grew up with. I question kind of every religion, especially all the Abrahamic religions, because to me they don't make any sense. But
Mm-hmm.
why would that, like, if it makes sense to someone else, why? Like, to me, the burqa is super, super, super oppressive. But if the people that are wearing it are like, yeah, actually, that's how I feel comfortable.
Yeah, but how do we know that the women who are wearing that burqa are not oppressed? You know, even if we ask them, um, would we get an honest, a sincere answer from them? So wouldn't it be safer to say there shouldn't be any burqas allowed, or especially
Well,
like
there I
should
go
kids have a
to
hijab too, you
well,
know?
truly. Level, you know that with children is the education. It's imposed by the parents, definitely that we know. But there again, you come with the huge debate. Is there
Mm,
a God or no? And can you prove it or not? Like, no one will be able to prove there is a God. No one will be able to prove there is no God. Can you, if someone tells you and you're convinced that they are oppressed and they say, no, I'm not oppressed, I do it by liberty, and they're really convinced about it. So again,
mm,
it's really, that's a really difficult debate. We can only look from
mm.
our opinion, but then again, we have to also, even though we can question it and we have to question it, I truly
We
believe we have to
can
question
even further question it. So like even if someone says, yes, I wear the headscarf because it's my belief that I should wear it. I should hide my hair from men because they might feel attracted to
it.
that. And so the question is like, if some if a woman is wearing the hijab because she believes it will bring her closer to paradise,
Mm.
is she then actually wearing the hijab out of a free choice? Do you know what I mean?
Well, and there again, it's really difficult to make an estimate about it, because don't forget as well that we are nowadays also in a culture where diversity, inclusion are really key words. But
Yeah.
diversity and inclusion, they also and equality, they also come with accepting different opinions that are also not your own. But then again, I think, and probably I'm repeating
Mm,
myself. It all comes to education and educating each other. You never know where your opinion comes from. Is your own
mm.
opinion educated? Is the opinion of the other educated? And that's why the conversation and dialogue is really really important. It is really, I can say, out of my view, out of my context and environment, that is something I don't want for my daughters, because
Mm,
that's just not how I view liberty and
mm.
the way to free itself.
But your views of liberty
But I'm a
can
listener.
clash with the views of of the liberty of others. And the thing is, like, when it comes to your daughter or to your niece or like to girls, um, will they have actually the same freedom if they are told that they need to wear a headscarf?
But
Um,
that's the thing.
that's
If,
the question.
let's say, if my daughter one day comes and she's with a headscarf and I'm asking why,
Mm,
and she gives me a, an argument in which she truly believes that it's an expression of her freedom as a woman to express herself with a
mhm,
headscarf, like,
mhm,
is there something else you can do than
mm,
speak that opinion? Of course, I will go see if she's not kind of maybe like manipulated or oppressed
mhm,
or made too. But if it's like a
mhm,
personal choice, like
mhm.
like again, my mom is a Catholic, like
Yeah,
very faithful. She has huge issues with me rejecting all the Abrahamic religions, especially Christianity.
yeah.
But then again, I can argument it. I can explain the why. So her in respecting my freedom, although she's completely against it, she thinks I
Mhm,
make a huge mistake. She has to accept something she is not in agreement with.
mhm. Yeah. Let's. We have we've gone a little bit too far away from the original topic, but actually we are not. But we are still touching many aspects on that actually on that topic by all these aspects of um, diversity and migration and so on. But when we talk about freedom, and especially now in times of war in especially I mean, especially the war in the Middle East,
Mhm.
and we see there's a lot of hatred
Mhm.
um, s- in yeah in the West against Jews, and that comes well, from the right, from left, but also from Muslim communities because
And
this
from Christian
conflict,
communities, and
yeah.
because I think it's always easy to, when it comes to the hate towards Muslim, towards Jews, talking about the Muslims, but don't forget there are a lot of Christians that don't like Jews either. So
Yeah. No, it's true.
we
No,
really have to.
anti-Semitism, it comes from all sides. It comes from the left. It comes from the right. It comes from Christians. It comes from Muslims. But this the conflict in the Middle East has become a driver. It's actually, or it's really accelerating, or not accelerating. It's really it's bringing this hatred or this kind of anti-Semitism to another level. And so we see that there's, especially in France, that there are Jewish Jews that left the country already years ago, and more Jewish people left after the 7th of October, and more crimes have happened since the 7th of October against synagogues or against Jews, mostly done by by Muslim communities. And so the question is, how can this actually be addressed? And the other thing is, like, also from the left, sorry, from the left, there's a lot of criticism against Israel and also against, in the end, against Jews from what's his name, from the leftist party in France.
Mhm.
So the thing is, you see that there's a lot of hatred against Jews nowadays that comes from many sides, and the left is not really really protecting, in my opinion, Jews. And so what can be done, in your opinion, to stop this hatred that comes from all sides?
Well, that's again, you don't hold back. You're always throwing the hardballs. No, like
Sorry about that.
those are really really sensible topics. You know, I have Jewish friends, I
Yeah,
have Muslim friends, I have from as long as I know one Jewish person in the family,
yeah.
and I have a couple of Muslims in the family, but.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, but when we sit on the table, we all like, and I'm like, you know, they would gang up against me for being an outspoken atheist, right? So,
Mm,
so the thing there again, um, it comes back to education again to me. Like,
yeah.
uh, because
Is it only education or is it also ideology?
because to me, all those issues when it comes to far right, to you know, the political left, the far left, the issues with Zionism, the issues, the
Mm,
anti-Islam issues, the issues against you know but I spoke already about the Jewish, but you know, like against Africans, against Russians, against
mm,
Ukraine, a lot comes because of we pick up here and there things in the media, but when the topic comes on the television,
mm,
uh, it includes maybe like a documentary of 2 or 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So you have like a snip
mm,
of a summary of what he's saying. So in the end, the majority of the population is actually ignorant when it comes to the real issues that are happening in Israel and Palestine, because the issues there are really, really, really specific. And the
yeah.
majority actually of the people in the world are
Mm.
ignorant about those issues.
They're
But
siding,
yeah,
they're
and
either
this yes,
pro-Palestine or either
yes,
pro-Israel. It's
and
it's
this
very black and white. Yeah.
exactly, and they speak out, they pick a side, and actually they don't even know the details of what. And like a lot of people have tried to explain it, that there are like a lot of good documentaries, but even there, you would see that you can take a lot of pieces of the puzzle, but it's so difficult to get the entire image.
Yeah. Exactly. And so many have become experts after the 7th of October, and some say that this is only
Mm.
about there's only the oppressed and there's the oppressor. But it's not that simple. So we can dig um very deep into that, and and there are um so many parties involved in that conflict. So same with Syria, like nobody knows actually
Yeah.
what's really going on in this war in Syria, because there are so many different tribes that are involved in that. And you as a if you how can someone how can an ordinary person know from outside of Syria what's going on there, because you have Alawites, you have one side that is attached to the Russians, you have one side that is attached to the US, and then you have the Islamic State as well, that is also playing their own part. And but for this conflict, people believe they understand this. They believe that it's so easy, that there's one side that has been oppressed, and there's the other side that have been the oppressor.
Mm.
And so this is what is now really dividing people, not society, so families, societies, the left, it's dividing the left, the political left, I mean, and it's yeah, it's I think this is I find this very concerning, to
Mm.
be honest. I have
And
had many discussions about that very difficult topic, and that this conflict plays a big role in so many elections now. It played a big role in the elections in the UK and France, and yeah, it's yeah,
but then again, it's always easier to judge than to truly understand, because trying to understand takes an effort.
yeah, exactly right, yeah. Yeah, actually, this is a good. These are good last words, I would say. We have been talking now for 70 minutes. Wow. Time was flying with you. It was very, very enjoyable, I must say, especially because I
Funny,
haven't seen you for a while.
yeah, funny thing is my fiance, when I said, "Oh yeah, I'm in a
Like,
call later with David," she's like, "Hey, you're really enjoying him?" I'm like, "Yeah, but he's so smart. Like, I love being around him. It's like he makes me think and look and from other perspective, things that I don't think about. He also makes me think about my own idea, make reflect on, is it well correct what I'm saying?" And obviously, again, probably there are so many things that when I
mm,
talk them that I left out, and people hopefully
mm,
that were following will pick in on it, will correct where necessary,
mm.
and like I truly hope that you read something about it.
Absolutely. It's we're two ordinary guys, and this exchange is so meaningful for me, and because we have many things in common, but we grow up in different countries, in different, well, we are more or less from the same class, but with different ethnicity, but also different language. We grow up, and yet in the same continent, with similar aspects, and yet it's really interesting to see your perspective on things, and you have yeah, expressed your thoughts, and then they are yeah, they are very, very meaningful for me, because you brought up some things that I haven't thought about, and so this is why I
Exactly the same.
appreciate having a podcast.
Yeah. No, and exactly the same, because there were some questions that I thought like, whoa, why is he asking me that? Like, but then again, I think it's also important to ask those difficult questions, because it's by avoiding them that you will not kind of resolve them. And I'm conscious enough to know that here we're not resolving the issue about society in
Mm,
France. We're not resolving or issues about society in general, and in the rise of the far right in France or in Europe. Even now, we
mm,
could see a super rise of the far right in African countries, which
mm.
up until a couple of years ago was uh,
Turkey too.
what?
Have you heard what happened in Turkey? That
No.
there had there had been riots against Syrian refugees as well, and so because there are 4 million Syrian refugees living in Turkey, and they are clashing now, and yeah, you see that they're in probably, yeah, on a global level, there's a movement, um to right-wing parties, I would say.
Yeah, and in a certain way, it's also an expression of a not being happy with how in the direction that things are going, you
Yeah.
know, and or people will become more radical to the right or more radical to the left, and you will see that then even the more central political parties will also, or starting to have the tendency to move more to the left or to the right,
Mm.
automatic. And I truly believe, I know I've repeated a couple of times, but um, being more educated, um, the level of education will help resolve a lot of issues. On the other hand, what I also want to say about that is that you, as an individual, you don't. I think it's a mistake to only expect your government to take care of your
Mm.
education system, but that's a lot can like it comes a lot
Mm.
from yourself as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what Kennedy once said, you know.
Mm,
Ask yourself not what your country can do for you, ask yourself what you can do for your country.
yeah. And by learning, growing, becoming more knowledgeable, not only you're helping yourself, but you're helping the people you care for, and they will help the people they care for, and before you know, a whole community is served, and after that, a whole nation, a whole continent. So it always starts with yourself and doing reflection, not judging, because it's
Mm.
easy to judge, but
Yeah,
trying to understand and making that time to learn. Um, that takes real effort.
yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah, right. So it would be really happy if we could do another podcast. I'm doing this now every week on Thursdays, so at the same time. So it's 9 p.m. Central European time and 8 p.m. GMT right now. Where are you in Spain actually?
Lasagna, Alicante,
Lasagna.
Alicante,
Where? Alicante.
Alicante.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah. How many weeks you staying there?
For 4 weeks.
Oh,
So
nice.
we already have uh, most the now I'm in my second week and we're Thursday.
Yeah,
So after this week, still 2 weeks, and then back to
yeah,
Ireland.
yeah, yeah. So enjoy it as much as you can. Yeah.
No, of course. Thank you very much, and definitely we catch up when we're
Hmm.
both in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we will definitely do another podcast. Yeah.
Good. All right.
All
Thank you
right.
very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. See you soon. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.